solar maximum is about to hit us too. If you think we had solar problems the last year, the last few months,
right?
Oh boy, we're in for it. We're really in for it now. We're really in for it now. We face a very deadly year coming up. We have a deadly year on the horizon, period. And if we don't do something, just like Spain, those people in Spain are suffering. Each person out there is saying that at least every individual out there that was in that flood area lost somebody. That was a lot of people out there cleaning up. They said everybody out there has lost somebody. We're still recovering here in the USA, but it's nothing like Spain.
Yeah.
If you think that was bad, this winter is going to set the USA back some. And we may not survive 2025 when it comes to some of the infrastructure problems and the weather. We have to really, we got to change some things now. We can't afford to remain stagnant. And they're going to have to secure the oil in America, because I can almost guarantee you the enemy is going to try to set that oil and gas on fire.
All right, Mike, it sounds like they want us to move another direction here.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone too.
Yeah. So why don't we do this? Let's talk about the sun. The sun has been exploding with CMEs, as you know, UV rays, X class. There's one thing they just said yesterday. It's raining protons raining down on the earth in incredible amounts. So, Mike, look, what's going to happen? And plus, oh, by the way, there's 14 asteroids that went by the Earth, near missed the Earth on the 28th of October. 4 of those scraped past us. October 30th, we did have one deep impact by a small one called Asteroid 2024 UG9, and more are on the way. But so we got the sun, we got the asteroids, we got the charged particles. Help us understand this planet X and what it's doing now. What phase are we going into?
Well, we're closer to that meteor storm. So I hope that people don't forget that part.
Yeah.
We'll have a time of black winds. I'll call it the black wind.
What?
That is not going to be a good time.
Black winds?
Just imagine, black winds. That's when thick black smoke will cover just about everything. And you'll have to get down to you have to duck about 2 or 3 feet to go underneath it. But it's going to be hot. It will do damage in quite a few places. That is just the time we live in. We're going into a new part of the galaxy we've just not been before. It's full of debris. We're not going to escape the debris, right? We're going right into it. That's one part. This is outside of any external object that's going to influence us further. And speaking about the sun and what's been happening to the sun, it's the solar winds and the chemistry of the sun has been changing. Let me give an example. People are putting their pumpkins out for Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Same pumpkins that they've been using for years. They put them out this year, and in 3 days, discoloration. An orange pumpkin turns purple and blue. Okay, that happens with extreme UV. That's what happens when UV is unchecked. It will take certain colors, right? And it will start breaking down certain materials. Because UV is a certain wavelength, it will affect those colors of that wavelength, stripping them out, leaving only a purplish, bluish color with another hue associated with it. So people have been complaining that their pumpkins have been turning, bluish purple. These type colors. Pumpkins they've had for years, in the family. They set them out and then they take them back. So we're having problems. Now, for having extreme UV, 2 things have happened. One, our atmosphere is a lot thinner than we thought it was. That's number one. And that's bad news in and of itself. Number two, the sun's chemistry is altering too fast, which means we're not going to be able to combat the changes in the sun. We just simply won't be able to combat them. Imagine a day when a person walks outside, right? Short sleeve, temperature's about 81 degrees. That's not too hot. 81 degrees. Nice day. They walk outside. They get 20 steps from their house and they fall out, right? Just imagine that. And then they get taken into the hospital and they are diagnosed with radiation poisoning.
What?
Just like that. Just imagine that. And then, of course, after that, the blizzards come and everything else. With an increase in UV, the next step are these large doses of radiation. Radiation is cumulative. So once you're exposed to radiation, right, it's not going to go out of your system. The people who have flown at 30,000 plus altitudes, the higher you fly, the shorter your career is going to be, right? Because you're exposed to much radiation. Once you reach a certain level, you're not flight worthy anymore. You can't fly anymore, right? So they take your wings away. It's unfortunate. But that's happening to pilots. Notice we have a pilot shortage, right?
Yeah, we do.
You notice that?
Yeah.
A pilot shortage. Wait a minute, but they said they gave some erroneous reason that did not work out regarding paperwork, regarding those individuals that were working for these companies, right? The numbers did not work out. I don't think anybody went back to investigate exactly why we lost so many pilots. Well, when you go back medically, a lot of them have been medically halted from flying again.
Now, I know that when they get 55, they're supposed to kind of end their careers. But you're saying it's even ending sooner because of the radiation levels. It's just too much.
Yeah, what about 30, 35?
That's crazy.
That's not, these guys, it'd be okay if they were all, in their 70s or 50s, 60s or 70s.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be plausible. You could say, okay,
Yeah.
Not 35. Not when you have a bunch of people. The average age is 35 and they have complaints about aviation employment. Something is wrong. Something has happened.
Now, are they going to go?
We have companies.
But, Mike, is this also because we're going to AI pilots that there's not going to be as much of a need?
No, not that. Not that. Because we lost those pilots, and then the industry was losing about $100 billion. What is it, about $100 billion every 2 or 3 months or something like that? They're not going to lose $100 billion every 2 or 3 months because something is coming out in the future. They're going to get every single dime they can, right?
Yeah.
This cost them big time. It cost them big time, but medically you cannot send up a pilot to fly if they've been exposed to too much radiation. See, when the airlines, they started to fight for the employment of the pilots, that told the story. Why would the airlines get rid of a pilot and then fight to have the pilot reinstated? That makes no sense. So something else was happening.
Well, radiation is taking over, as you said. UV rays, it's affecting big time. The sun is more intense, more hotter. Maybe the temperature doesn't have to be as high. The UV rays is, and this was biblical. This is in the book of Revelation. This is exactly what the Revelation says will happen. That men will be scorched, and they will gnaw their tongues for pain, and they will blaspheme God. But they still won't repent of their sins, won't repent of their evil deeds. We're just about in that era now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Because they're not repenting, they're justifying. More and more people are starting to justify their evil deeds, right? That's why we have so many grotesque policies now. They're just justifying it. And that's bad that's a bad move. But that's where we live. But with all these environmental changes, with the solar changes, we're really going to feel it this year coming up. Now, so if the weather this year is any indication of a pattern, right? Because now the meteorologists, those at Noaa, they now expect, and they're starting to admit that we have a problem, right? Special reporting is being put together for the budget of next year to cover disasters. Remember a long time ago we talked and I said follow the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Because they'll stop insuring homes for flooding.
Yeah.
You know that people can no longer get flood insurance through their insurance company. Now they have to go to FEMA to do that. Right? Can you imagine that? You don't get flood insurance if you live in some of these areas.
Oh, I know.
The insurance companies are out of money. They're out of money.
Yeah.
They're out of money. Some of the other natural acts will be added to that. In fact, they changed the list. If your car gets, if you live in a certain area, I can't say when you get hit by a meteorite, insurance does not cover it. Why? Because too many people have been putting in claims from meteorite damage. So they don't cover that anymore either.
So the changing,
it's getting worse.
It's going to get worse and worse.
These natural disasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the earth is definitely changing exactly like Jesus said we would see in Matthew 24, Mark 13,
Yes.
Luke 21, just like Revelation said, just like Isaiah 24 said, the earth's going to reel and rock and tilt and like a drunkard man. We're going to see, all these events. This should be a sign. All these accumulative events should certainly send a message that the Bible's true. I mean, we're on the verge of Ezekiel 38, the World War III. We're on the verge of calamities from the polar caps melting. There's some serious things happening. I know we just found out that in the Fort Lauderdale area that they're having to raise all of the walls of the land, the sea walls, 12 feet. Everyone's mandatory. You have to raise your seawall 12 feet because of coastal flooding or coastal impact, because the water is rising. And isn't that kind of what you said would happen?
Yeah, back a long time ago, we talked about a park in Florida that the benches they're sinking. Every time you go there, water is coming up over these park benches. But that's happening in quite a few areas. And Nevada, Arizona, Barstow, for example. Can you imagine a place like Barstow, or in California? Imagine a place like Barstow having 2 inches of water instead of that place is so dry, right? That place is incredibly dry. But can you imagine a place like that fully inundated with water by water damage? There's evidence at Barstow that the water came up there a long time ago. It's coming up again. The West Coast, a part of the West Coast will be totally dead soon, and nobody can stop that from happening. Seawater is killing the trees, is killing the inland vegetation and everything else. It's happening. Saltwater intrusion is taking over fresh water. Municipal companies are having to really reroute whole water systems. And this is both on the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, you name it, they're having to do it. And Texas and New York have a severe problem because of all the pipes underneath the ground, right? New York is the worst. If something were to explode underneath the ground in New York, that whole city is going to go up. We will see Texas having flames come up from the ground up and from fires above, right?
What?
Same thing will happen in New York.
So
they can't get to those pipes. They put that piping down their past a long time ago when they first started building
Yeah.
it. And there's no way they're going to replace that. Oil, petroleum is traveling all throughout the ground in Texas, all the way out to sea in the Gulf, to the safe places. But the Gulf is no safe place anymore. There's a heat plume underneath in the Gulf, and there's some unknown thing in the Gulf that are going to end up, wreaking havoc on anything out there. So imagine the entire Gulf in flames. Because they're going to have you remember the oil spill they had, right? The BP oil spill.
Yes.
Imagine that same oil spill times, I'll say times 7, something like that, right? You think we could, overcome that quickly?
No. It took 100. It took 101 days to deal with the BP oil spill. 101 days. Now, if we start having natural gas eruptions or explosions on fire, that's going to be incredible on how to deal with that. I don't even know how you deal with that, so. And you're saying New York could be worse.
Yeah, New York will be. They have, unfortunately, when they began to build New York, they hastily, they didn't have any higher technology there, so they built a piping system underneath the ground, right below the subway. And they cannot get to some of those pipes. Those pipes are leaking, right? They're old. They don't use that material anymore. They use composite. And, they're just leaking gas all over the place. All they can do now is maintain and flood those areas where the gas leaks are. As far as repair, most of them they can't get to. So that's a trouble area too. And in time, because things are so unstable, it's only a matter of time before something falls from the sky and hits in that place. And then we'll see what the end result is.
All right, Mike. Well, hey, you gave us a lot to chew on tonight, a lot to think about, and a lot to pray about. And so I appreciate you coming on and being with us tonight.
Pastor, is always an honor. Stay safe. God bless.
All right, we will. God bless you. The honor's mine. Thank you, Mike. God bless.